What the hell is this?
Let's talk about surface, shall we? It's no secret that SL's level design can be quite lacking, and nothing shows it better than the surface zone, which manages to be both extremely choky and too open, which simply sucks. This zone's open space makes it incredibly hard for the SCPs to corner and deal with humans. Now, there is nothing worse for an SCP to deal with than a spawn wave, as its damage output can make a quick work of the SCPs. Luckily, while inside the facility, tight corridors force humans to be grouped up, meaning SCPs can quickly jump from target to target, lowering groups' overall DPS. However, on the surface, humans can scatter around, maintaining the same DPS, but making it much harder for the SCPs to secure a kill. Like open spaces were a problem for the SCPs, the issue here is caused by overall chokiness of the map. If we were to simplify this zone's layout, it would become 3 very long lines. Not only that, but also the fact that those lines do not form a closed loop, meaning that there is no possibility of flanking. This is bad enough on its own, but things get way worse when you realize that Surface Zone is home to the best camping spot in the entire game. Period. Now, your first thought might be, it must be the escape area. But you would be wrong. The actually best camping spot is the bridge above Chaos Spawn. Let me explain. While it's true that the escape area has only one angle of attack, as opposed to bridges too, however, escape area doesn't really provide you with any advantage, while the bridge does. And besides, after warhead detonation, the path from elevator A becomes inaccessible. Let's tackle these one at a time. When it comes to attacks from elevator A, simply glancing at it will prevent you from getting caught off guard by incoming enemies. Real advantage, however, comes in the form of this wall, or rather the shadow it casts, as it completely obscures the player. Meaning you can shoot your enemies without them knowing where the attack came from. But as I mentioned earlier, most of the time that path will be unavailable because of the warhead. Now, for the attacks coming from elevator B, there is a number of advantages. Okay, so this one might not be immediately obvious just from the name, but it's basically the difference in amount of space one side has to watch versus the other side. A player camping the bridge only has to watch this space, marked in red. Nice and small, easily visible in its entirety from any point. From the other side though, the amount of space you have to look at might not even be fully on your screen, and even when it is, you still have to glance around it because the enemy might not be visible at the moment. And that transitions us nicely into the next advantage. This one is simple. Because of the height difference, the defender can move away from the edge, which makes it impossible for the attackers to see or hit him. This does come with a disadvantage of allowing attackers to advance. However, the ability to change positions with enemies being none the wiser more than makes up for it. Another way to abuse the height advantage is to stand close enough to the edge to still be able to see your enemies, but far enough to hide most of your hitbox, and obscure what's left with the railings. This creates something I call a dev zone, as there is a distance where the defender can see attackers' lower hitbox while staying completely out of sight, which gives him an unfair advantage. So, this is why current surface zone design is bad. But how do we fix it? Well, before we can do that, we have to define something called a point of interest, which basically is an important place to know. On surface, we have a total of 6 points of interest. Elevator A, Chaos Spawn, Nuke Room, Elevator B, MTF Spawn, and Escape. Now, since current surface is so bad, I think we should start from scratch. First, we're gonna get a square. Any shape would do as long as it's symmetrical, but I wanna use a square for simplicity's sake. Then, we're gonna align a hexagon with the square. This hexagon will map out where we want to put our points of interest. At the same time, we're also going to add another point of interest, which will be another escape area, so now we have one for each side, and at the end, we'll put the nuke room in the middle of everything. After that, we can remove some useless space. A good rule of thumb for that is, if a player will never need to go there, then it's probably useless. And finally, the rest of the space can be filled with obstacles. To remove long sightlines, make the space less open for the SCPs, and create multiple routes for players to move around. Another good rule of thumb for that is for any 2 points on the map, there should be at least 2 paths a player can take. Well, this concludes this video. If you have any feedback, I would be more than happy to hear you out. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking it and subscribing. But for now, this has been it, and I will see you next time. See ya!